Frasier was more than a spin-off sitcom. It grew into a sharp, character-driven exploration of family, intellect, and emotional vulnerability wrapped in sophisticated humor. Over 11 seasons, the series assembled a richly textured cast whose relationships evolved through quiet shifts rather than loud reinvention. In this video, we revisit key members of the Frasier cast, looking at how old they were when they first appeared, how their characters developed over time, and how those roles fit into their broader careers. Let's take a closer look at the performers who helped transform a witty radio psychiatrist into one of television's most enduring comedies. David Hyde Pierce portrayed Dr. Niles Crane, Frasier's meticulously mannered younger brother whose anxiety, restraint, and romantic yearning gradually became the emotional spine of the series. He took on the role at 34 years old, shaping Niles through precise physical comedy, vocal control, and an almost balletic sense of timing. Across 11 seasons, the character evolved from an eccentric supporting presence into one of television's most carefully constructed arcs. After the series ended, Pierce made a conscious decision to step away from regular television, focusing instead on theater, classical performance, and select voice work. Broadway became the center of his creative life, where he earned major awards and long-term respect for his craft. As of 2026, David Hyde Pierce is 66 years old, widely associated with artistic discipline and a career defined by depth, selectivity, and enduring theatrical credibility. Peri Gilpin portrayed Roz Doyle, the confident radio producer whose directness, humor, and emotional clarity grounded Frasier's more rarefied world. She joined the cast at 32 years old, bringing a contemporary sensibility that balanced intellect with lived experience. Over time, Roz matured into a character defined by independence, resilience, and professional self-worth, far beyond her early comedic framing. After the series concluded, Gilpin continued working steadily across television, theater, and voice acting, favoring ensemble-driven projects and character-focused storytelling. Rather than chasing reinvention, her post-Frasier career emphasized consistency and range. Currently, Peri Gilpin is 64 years old, regarded as a dependable presence whose longevity reflects strong instincts, emotional accessibility, and a lasting connection with audiences who value authenticity over spectacle. Kelsey portrayed Dr. Frederick Crane, the cultured psychiatrist whose intelligence, vanity, and emotional vulnerability anchored the series. He was 38 years old when Frasier premiered, already carrying years of character history from Cheers while reshaping Frasier into a more introspective and refined lead. After the show ended, Grammer remained a prominent figure across television, film, stage, and voice acting, frequently returning to the role while also expanding into producing and dramatic work. His career became defined by longevity rather than constant reinvention. Presently, Kelsey Grammer is 70 years old, standing as one of television's rare performers to sustain a single character's cultural relevance across decades while continuing to work steadily across multiple entertainment mediums. John Mahoney portrayed Martin Crane, the plain-spoken, retired police officer whose emotional honesty grounded Frasier's intellectual world. He took on the role at 53 years old, using restraint, warmth, and lived-in realism to shape Martin into the show's moral center. Rather than competing for wit, Mahoney anchored scenes through silence, posture, and understated reactions. After the series ended, he returned to his theatrical roots, appearing regularly on stage while choosing occasional film and television roles that suited his age and temperament. His post-Frasier years reflected a quiet, working actor's life rather than public reinvention. John Mahoney passed away on February 4, 2018, at age 77 from complications following a stroke, leaving behind a performance that continues to resonate for its humanity and emotional truth. Tom McGowan portrayed Kenny Daly, the often overlooked station manager whose awkward authority and sincere loyalty added texture to the radio station ensemble. He joined the cast at 34 years old, playing Kenny with an earnestness that turned professional insecurity into gentle comedy. While rarely at the center of major storylines, McGowan's presence helped sustain the show's workplace realism. After the series ended, he continued working steadily across television, film, and stage, frequently appearing in supporting roles that benefited from his grounded delivery. His career favored continuity over visibility, reflecting the path of a dependable character actor. As of 2026, Tom McGowan is 66 years old, still active and appreciated for a body of work built on reliability, subtle humor, and long-term contribution rather than headline roles. Dan Butler portrayed Bulldog Briscoe, the bombastic sports radio host whose bravado and excess provided sharp contrast to Frasier's cultivated restraint. He was 39 years old when he took on the role, leaning into exaggerated masculinity while allowing flashes of vulnerability to surface beneath the bluster. Bulldog gradually evolved from caricature into a surprisingly human figure. After the show concluded, Butler shifted his focus toward theater and solo performance, openly addressing personal themes through stage work while continuing selective screen appearances. His later career emphasized storytelling and authenticity over comedic repetition. Currently, Dan Butler is 71 years old, recognized for embracing creative risk later in life and reshaping public perception through honesty, introspection, and sustained artistic engagement. Patrick Kerr portrayed Noel Shempsky, the socially awkward station employee whose fixation on science fiction and pop culture added an offbeat layer to Frasier's workplace humor. He joined the cast at 38 years old, leaning into exaggerated enthusiasm while grounding Noel in recognizable insecurity. Though often used sparingly, the character became memorable for his unpredictable energy and sincere, if misguided, attempts at connection. After the series ended, Kerr continued working steadily across television, theater, and voice acting, often appearing in genre projects that echoed Noel's eccentric spirit. His career remained rooted in character roles rather than long-term visibility. As of 2026, Patrick Kerr is 70 years old, regarded as a versatile supporting actor whose performances consistently added texture and specificity to ensemble storytelling. Edward Hibbert portrayed Gil Chesterton, the flamboyant food critic whose ornate speech and theatrical mannerisms stood in sharp contrast to Frasier's cultivated restraint. He took on the role at 39 years old, crafting Gil with deliberate exaggeration while maintaining an air of mystery that fueled recurring humor. The character's limited appearances made each return feel distinctive rather than repetitive. After the show concluded, Hibbert continued working across stage and screen, and including notable roles in musical theater and guest appearances on television. His post-Frasier work reflected a strong connection to performance traditions rooted in voice, timing, and physical presence. Currently, Edward Hibbert is 70 years old, appreciated for a career defined by expressive character work and a lasting impression achieved without overexposure. Saul Rubinek portrayed Donnie Douglas, Daphne's earnest fiancé, whose warmth and emotional transparency briefly shifted the tone of the series. He was 51 years old when he joined the show, bringing maturity and vulnerability that deepened one of Frasier's most consequential story arcs. Donnie's presence added moral weight and lasting consequence to the show's romantic narrative. After the series ended, Rubinek maintained an active career as an actor, writer, and director, and appearing in film, television, and stage projects that emphasized emotional complexity. His later work often favored substance over visibility. Presently, Saul Rubinek is 77 years old, respected for a body of work that spans decades and reflects a commitment to layered, character-driven storytelling. Bebe Neuwirth portrayed Dr. Lilith Sternin, Frasier's former wife, whose intellectual severity and emotional restraint created one of the show's most striking contrasts. She took on the role at 36 years old, delivering Lilith with icy precision, controlled stillness, and razor-sharp diction that made even silence feel pointed. Though appearing intermittently, Neuwirth's presence consistently reshaped episodes, pushing Frasier into moments of vulnerability and self-awareness. After the series ended, she returned primarily to theater, reaffirming her stature as a Broadway mainstay while also taking select television roles. Her post-Frasier career emphasized craft over exposure. As of 2026, Bebe Neuwirth is 67 years old, widely admired for balancing iconic television work with a sustained, award-winning commitment to stage performance. Millicent Martin portrayed Gertrude Moon, Daphne's domineering mother, whose bluntness and emotional manipulation introduced a sharper, more uncomfortable form of comedy. She joined the show at 66 years old, drawing on decades of stage and television experience to make Gertrude unsettling yet darkly amusing. Unlike broader sitcom archetypes, Martin played the role with realism that made the character's impact linger. After the series concluded, Martin largely stepped back from screen acting. He having already built an extensive career across British and American television, theater, and music. Her later years reflected a natural winding down rather than reinvention. Currently, Millicent Martin is 91 years old, remembered as a seasoned performer whose late career television appearances carried the authority and confidence of a lifetime in performance. Jane Addams portrayed Dr. Mel Karnofsky, the assertive and tightly controlled doctor whose brief marriage to Niles disrupted one of the series' central emotional arcs. She was 34 years old when she took on the role, infusing Mel with ambition, intelligence, and simmering resentment that extended beyond conventional sitcom antagonism. Addams gave the character an edge that made the storyline feel consequential rather than disposable. After the show ended, she pursued a diverse career across independent film, television dramas, and theater, often choosing psychologically complex roles. Her post-Frasier work leaned toward darker, character-driven material. Presently, Jane Addams is 60 years old, recognized for a career defined by range, emotional intensity, and a willingness to explore challenging narratives beyond mainstream comedy. Wendy Malick portrayed Ronee Lawrence, Martin Crane's compassionate physical therapist whose calm confidence brought emotional balance to the later seasons of Frasier. She joined the cast at 53 years old, playing Ronee with warmth and maturity rather than sitcom exaggeration. Her presence allowed Martin's personal life to deepen, giving the character renewed dimension late in the series. After Frasier ended, Malick entered one of the most productive stretches of her career, becoming a familiar face in long-running television comedies including Just Shoot Me, Hot in Cleveland, and later ensemble series aimed at adult audiences. Her post-Frasier success reflected longevity rather than reinvention. As of 2026, Wendy Malick is 75 years old, widely regarded as a dependable leading presence whose career thrived well into television's modern era. Felicity Huffman portrayed Julia Wilcox, the driven and highly controlled attorney whose relationship with Frasier introduced a sharper, more competitive romantic dynamic. She took on the role at 41 years old, giving Julia an intensity that felt grounded in ambition rather than comedy alone. Though her arc was brief, Huffman's performance left a strong impression by challenging Frasier's emotional authority. After the series, she built a prominent career in film and television, earning critical acclaim for dramatic roles that emphasized emotional realism. Following a widely publicized legal setback, Huffman gradually returned to acting, focusing on smaller projects and rebuilding her professional footing. Currently, Felicity Huffman is 63 years old, navigating a quieter chapter defined by selective work and a cautious re-entry into the industry she once dominated. Harriet Sansom. Harris portrayed Bebe Glazer, Frasier's ruthless agent, whose unapologetic self-interest and theatrical menace became one of the series' most unforgettable recurring elements. She joined the show at 38 years old, leaning into bold physicality and vocal precision to make Bebe both hilarious and unsettling. Harris treated the role almost operatically, turning brief appearances into standout moments. After Frasier concluded, she returned primarily to theater while continuing to appear in high-profile television dramas and comedies. Her career remained anchored in character acting that favored intensity over familiarity. Presently, Harriet Sansom Harris is 71 years old, celebrated for sustaining a career defined by fearless performances, technical excellence, and a lasting reputation for scene-stealing precision. Trevor Einhorn portrayed Frederick Crane, Frasier's young son, whose appearances quietly grounded the series in themes of fatherhood and generational distance. He took on the role at just 8 years old, bringing a natural, unaffected presence that contrasted with the adult's carefully constructed personas. Frederick's scenes often revealed Frasier's vulnerabilities more clearly than dialogue ever could. After the series ended, Einhorn stepped away from acting during his teen years, later returning as an adult with a more deliberate approach to the craft. He built a career across television, film, and theater, including roles on Mad Men and Broadway productions, emphasizing range over recognition. As of 2026, Trevor Einhorn is 37 years old, regarded as a former child actor who successfully re-entered the industry on his own terms, guided by maturity and artistic intention. Jane Leeves portrayed Daphne Moon, the warm-hearted caregiver whose intuition, humor, and emotional openness provided Frasier with its most human counterpoint. She joined the cast at 32 years old, shaping Daphne through gentle physical comedy and an undercurrent of sincerity that resonated across seasons. Daphne's evolution, from quirky outsider to emotional anchor, became one of the show's most enduring arcs. After the series concluded, Leeves continued working steadily in television, most notably as a lead on Hot in Cleveland, where she reconnected with sitcom audiences in a contemporary setting. Her post-Frasier career emphasized continuity rather than reinvention. Currently, Jane Leeves is 64 years old, widely appreciated for maintaining a long-running television presence built on warmth, comedic timing, and an unmistakable screen identity. Jean Smart portrayed Lana Gardner, Frasier's outspoken former high school crush, whose return forced him to confront how memory often reshapes desire. She took on the role at 49 years old, giving Lana a candid, emotionally exposed presence that cut through Frasier's romantic idealism. Even in limited appearances, Smart brought a sense of lived experience that made the character feel immediate and unresolved. After the series ended, her career entered a remarkably strong later chapter, with substantial roles across prestige television, including Fargo, Watchmen, and Hacks. These performances revealed a sharpened dramatic authority paired with fearless comedy. As of 2026, Jean Smart is 74 years old, still working at a level that reflects confidence, range, and a career shaped by patience rather than early peak success. Anthony LaPaglia portrayed Simon Moon, Daphne's volatile brother whose impulsive behavior injected chaos into the Crane household. He joined the cast at 41 years old. approaching Simon with blunt physicality and emotional unpredictability that challenged the show's polished tone. The character's abrasive nature divided viewers but served an important narrative purpose, pushing Daphne into clearer self-definition. After the series concluded, LaPaglia continued moving between American and Australian projects, establishing himself in long-running dramas such as Without a Trace. His post-Frasier years leaned heavily into dramatic storytelling, distancing him from sitcom expectations. Currently, Anthony LaPaglia is 66 years old, continuing a career marked by international range, steady output, and a willingness to inhabit characters that resist easy sympathy. Marsha Mason portrayed Sherry Dempsey, Martin Crane's exuberant girlfriend whose openness and social ease unsettled the Crane family's reserved dynamic. She took on the role at 55 years old, using warmth and timing to make Sherry feel sincere rather than exaggerated. Mason's performance allowed the character to linger emotionally, even after her storyline ended. After Frasier, Mason gradually shifted her focus back to theater, balancing acting with directing and teaching while limiting her screen appearances. Her later career reflected a natural slowing rather than withdrawal. Presently, Marsha Mason is 83 years old, representing a generation of performers whose influence rests not on constant visibility, but on decades of accumulated experience across stage and screen. Laura Linney portrayed Charlotte, and the thoughtful and emotionally grounded woman who offered Frasier a vision of connection beyond routine romantic disappointment. She took on the role at 39 years old, bringing restraint, intelligence, and quiet empathy that shifted the tone of the series' final arc. Charlotte was written as a turning point rather than a long-term fixture, and Linney's performance gave that transition emotional credibility. After Frasier ended, her career moved decisively toward dramatic film and prestige television, with acclaimed work in projects such as You Can Count on Me, Kinsey, The Big C, and Ozark. These roles emphasized interior complexity over charm. As of 2026, Laura Linney is 61 years old, continuing to balance film, television, and stage work with a reputation built on emotional precision and thoughtful character choices. Brian Klugman portrayed Kirby, the wealthy and socially untethered teenager whose uneasy friendship with Frasier exposed generational disconnect and privilege. He joined the show at 26 years old, playing Kirby with a mix of arrogance, insecurity, and underlying confusion that gave the character surprising depth. Though his appearances were limited, Kirby's storyline allowed Frasier to explore class and responsibility from an unexpected angle. After the series concluded, Klugman gradually stepped away from acting, redirecting his focus toward writing and directing. He later co-wrote and directed the independent film The Words, marking a clear shift behind the camera. Currently, Brian Klugman is 50 years old, best known today for shaping stories from the creative side rather than remaining in front of the lens. Now that brings us to the end of our look back at the Frasier cast and their journeys both on and off the screen. If this series left a lasting impression on you, share which character or storyline resonated most. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more carefully researched television cast retrospectives.